On the day I had a heart attack and was rushed to the emergency room, Blake accidentally sent me photos. He and his secretary, Chloe, were naked and locked in a tight embrace in a downtown hotel. A voice message followed, his voice indifferent, with no intention of explaining. Rest up, and don't worry about anything else. On the third day of my hospital stay, all I got was a casual call from him. Chloe just gave me a full-body massage. The hospital gives me the creeps, so I won't be coming. Seeing that I didn't answer for a while, his tone softened slightly as he added a few words, don't overthink it. Chloe just went through a breakup, she's going through a tough time and needs love and security. I'm just temporarily acting as her boyfriend. I'm just helping her out with some boyfriend duties. It won't affect our relationship. I've already planned it out, we'll be together during the day, and I'll spend the evenings with her. You don't have a problem with that, do you? I stared blankly at the screen, a bitter smile on my face. Be with her. I don't need you to be with me. I heard two people burst into laughter on the phone. I wasn't asking for your opinion. Don't push your luck. But later, he knelt before me, pleading for my forgiveness. I threw his own words back at him. In the hospital, I angrily hung up the phone and looked at the person in front of me. Be with me. Do you dare? Liam stood holding a bouquet of flowers, looking at me awkwardly, his face full of uncertainty. Are you serious? Watching his eyes slowly reddening, most of my anger subsided. Marriage is a serious commitment. I knew I was too impulsive. I waved my hand and said, never mind, forget I said anything. Before I could finish, Liam stepped forward, his deep eyes sparkling. Why wouldn't I dare? The silence between us was so thick you could hear a pin drop. I smiled sweetly and nodded emphatically. Then I'll wait for you to marry me. Liam and I were childhood sweethearts. There's nothing that testifies to a person's true heart more than growing up together. If hadn't burst onto the scene and swept me off my feet, perhaps, we would have already walked down the aisle. After that day, he stayed by my side every step of the way. His gentle and thoughtful actions, like a spring breeze, gradually smoothed away my sorrow. For a whole week, Blake never came. But his social media posts became more active day by day. Riding a Ferris wheel, hiking a national park, climbing the Grand. Photo after photo from their trips documented his sweet life with Chloe. In the pictures, they held hands and embraced intimately. My fingers trembled. Beyond the sadness, there was more disappointment. My fingertips flew across the screen, typing a comment below, wishing you all the best. The next second, he called. Chloe specifically asked me to invite you to experience her family's massage service. Are you coming? I rubbed the sore needle marks on my arm, my voice low. Don't contact me anymore. We're done. Blake paused, and his voice took on a hint of displeasure. Chloe invited you because she respects you. Who are you throwing a tantrum for? You're not a child who gets comforted every time you cry anymore. Trembling with anger, I said sarcastically, are you deaf? I said I don't want you anymore. But he burst into laughter, not bothering to hide the contempt in his words. Why don't you look in a mirror? Who else would want you, my sloppy seconds, after I've had you for 3 years? My voice grew calmer. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. There was silence for a few seconds, then a deafening roar erupted from his end. Grace, you said this yourself. On our wedding day, I'll make you kneel and slap yourself 100 times, begging for my forgiveness. Too annoyed to argue further, I just hung up. I had just lay down, preparing to go scrolling through videos, when I found the entire internet was flooded with a live stream. Blake, CEO of Vance, appeared live at the wellness spa to demonstrate a full-body massage. In the live stream, Blake was wrapped in a towel, lying quietly on the massage table, his adoring gaze never leaving Chloe. Welcome everyone to my live stream. Today, my husband and I will personally demonstrate the massage process for you. My heart ached at the mention of my husband. He was the sole heir to Vance, and because he frequently appeared in public, he had to keep our relationship a secret. I understood and accepted it, even if it meant only being allowed to call him by his first name in front of others. The word husband was off limits to him. Yet now, he happily accepted a female secretary calling him husband, his eyes full of pleasure. Watching the corner of Blake's mouth slowly turn up on the screen, my heart twitched. It turned out, he just didn't like me calling him husband. That was all. The live stream's popularity soared, with viewership breaking 100,000 in just a few minutes. Countless envious comments scrolled wildly through the comment section, he's rich and handsome, and she's beautiful and has a great figure. They're a match made in heaven. Chloe's eyes sparkled, and she smiled constantly, patiently answering everyone's questions. Until one comment appeared that stumped her. Is it just you in your spa? Don't you even have an assistant? Chloe pressed her lips together and shook her head. Everyone else has their own work to do, so I have to handle everything myself, she said, wiping sweat from her forehead with a gentle smile. Besides, being able to serve my husband is worth any fatigue. Blake's gaze grew softer and softer as he gently stroked her palm. I'll have Grace come over and be your assistant. Chloe put on a docile expression. Please don't trouble Grace. I can manage by myself. But gave her no room to refuse and called me. Be at this address within 20 minutes. If you're a minute late, you can forget about the family heirloom. Pendant your dad gave me. That pendant was a family heirloom my dad left me before he passed away. Only the person meant to spend a lifetime with me was worthy of owning it. When I arrived, Blake was sitting upright in front of the live stream equipment, smiling and greeting the audience. Chloe quickly stood up, speaking with an apologetic tone. Sorry for the trouble, Grace. All the trash on the floor needs to be cleaned up. I frowned, glancing at her with disgust. You want me to clean for you? Chloe gave a shy smile and casually pulled out a set of clothes. Also, you're definitely not clean, and you'll dirty up this place. Put these on, then stand here and listen to my instructions. Chloe had a "this is how it is" expression, listing out demands one by one. I smiled, meeting her gaze. That's it? Yes, just these for now. My smile froze, and I spat out one icy word. Get out. Before could speak, Blake became displeased. He turned and rushed over, slapping me across the face with the back of his hand. Smack! A clear handprint appeared on my face, and a burning pain spread from my skin to my brain. Is that how your mom taught you to speak? Blake's eyes were dark, a fierce glint appearing in them. Kneel and apologize to Chloe. Chloe looked desolate, secretly sobbing. Don't blame Grace, it's all my fault. My selfishness affected your normal lives. She timidly grabbed Blake's arm. Maybe I should just leave. A strong dizzy spell made me feel disoriented, but I still managed a sarcastic smile. Oh no, don't. You've successfully taken my place. This man is yours now. I don't want him anymore. Chloe suddenly went pale and fell straight backward. Chloe. Blake's expression drastically changed. His malice and rage were replaced by panic as he quickly rushed to catch Chloe. How are you feeling? His eyes full of anxiety, he asked in a low voice. Do you want me to take you to the hospital? Her pale lips moved slightly, and she shook her head painfully. Blake, it's all my fault. I just wanted to get over my breakup, that's why I asked for your help. Don't blame Grace, she didn't mean it. Her docile behavior only further provoked Blake, his dark eyes holding intense hostility. Look what you've done. She has a heart condition, you lunatic. My gaze darkened, and sadness lingered within me. She has a heart condition, but what about me? For 3 whole years, I never mentioned a thing, afraid he would worry. Yet now, it had become a powerful weapon for him to use against me. After helped her lie down, he stormed over, his eyes wild with rage. I told you to kneel, are you deaf? The live stream was still going, but he kicked my knee hard in front of 100,000 people. A sharp object on the floor dug deep into my thigh, and blood slowly stained my pants. I was forced to my knees, but he lifted his foot and stepped on my face, taunting and humiliating me. The sharp pain from my knee made me tremble all over, my face flushed as I tried to break free. But he grabbed my hair, forced my face towards the camera, and sneered. Earlier, everyone was asking who she was. Just a disobedient servant, nothing to see here. With that, he grabbed my collar and pushed me hard. Chloe told you to clean this place up. Do as she says. I stumbled and fell to the floor. The throbbing pain from my knee kept me from standing up. I could only look up, stubbornly meeting Blake's gaze. No way. Blake's gaze deepened. After staring at me for a few seconds, he held up the family heirloom pendant in his hand. Clean it up, and I'll give it back to you. More and more blood dripped onto the floor. Under his indifferent gaze, I shakily got up and picked up the scattered items on the floor. Chloe slowly walked over, her eyes filled with pity. Grace, you should quickly apologize to Blake. He cares for you so much, he'll definitely forgive you. My bloodshot eyes glared fiercely at Chloe, making her go pale and quickly retract her Seeing I ignored her, she walked over to Blake and whispered, Blake, Please forgive her. If gets angry with you and runs away, I'll feel guilty. Blake's gaze took on a strange look, and his cold eyes glanced at me. Would she dare? Martha is paralyzed and helpless, and my dad died young. Where else could she go besides me? The more he spoke, the prouder he sounded, his tone filled with triumph and self-satisfaction. It's her good fortune that I, a powerful man, would even look at a weak woman with no power or influence. I squeezed the rag tightly in my hand, and large tears fell one by one. I was just an ordinary person from a humble family, wanting to live a stable life, raise a family, and pass my days peacefully. But's appearance made all of that a luxury I couldn't afford. From our first meeting, he began to pursue me relentlessly. After his persistent efforts, I fell for him. Once the novelty wore off, I became trash he could casually discard by the roadside. In the end, I was even less significant than his newly appointed female secretary. How ironic. After wiping the last spot on the floor, I trembled and looked up, pleading. Give it back to me. Blake's eyes slanted as he toyed with the family heirloom pendant in his palm, a malicious pleasure dawning on him. Is this piece of junk so important to you? You're so proud, you wouldn't give in no matter what, yet you're stooping so low for a worthless pendant. I bit my lip, shaking my head bitterly. Please, give it back to me. Blake, however, gave a playful smile. Now you're willing to beg me? Too bad, it's too late. Within my sight, he forcefully swung his arm, and the glittering family heirloom pendant flew in an arc, crashing heavily onto the floor. In an instant, it shattered into pieces. No! I screamed with all my might, pouncing like a madwoman. Why? Why are you doing this to me? Blake's indifferent gaze fell upon me, devoid of any remorse. When you gave it to me, I wanted to throw it away like trash. A worthless pendant, yet you treat it like a treasure. How ridiculous. I sobbed uncontrollably, carefully picking up piece after piece of the shattered pendant, trying to make it whole again. But the sharp edges cut my fingers, and blood slowly trickled down. Chloe suddenly walked over and deliberately stepped on a fragment, her lips pressed together, her eyes full of feigned sympathy. You shouldn't have made Blake angry. He just wants us to get along. Get away from me. My eyes red, I forcefully pushed her away. You hussy. You enjoy being a homewrecker and breaking up families, don't you? Chloe stumbled backward, falling heavily to the ground, rubbing her wrist in a display of grievance, tears welling up in her eyes. Grace, I only wanted to mend our relationship, but why do you always target me? If that makes you happy, then I'll accept it. The next second, Blake rushed over and kicked me hard. Caught off guard, I sprawled awkwardly on the ground, feeling like my entire body was falling apart. Pain, resentment, hatred. All these emotions swirled within me, refusing to disappear. I looked up, my eyes blurry with tears, at him. Blake, neither of us is a fool. Do some things really need to be seen with our own eyes to be believed? But an enraged Blake wasn't listening at all. He dragged me by my hair all the way to the door. Chloe isn't your toy, you can't just bully her. Get out. You're not welcome here. I gave a desolate smile, biting my lip tightly. Remember everything you said today. I rushed out without looking back, tears streaming down my face as I ran, the grief feeling like it was burning a hole through my heart. In my panic, I didn't notice the figure that suddenly appeared in front of me, crashing straight into their arms. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I frantically wiped away my tears, struggling to pull back, but failed. The next second, a gentle yet sorrowful voice made my body freeze. I'm sorry, I'm late. Liam's eyes were tinged with red, and he held me tightly. I was handling wedding matters just now and couldn't get here in time. I sniffled, my voice choked. Take me away. He gently patted my back, his eyes full of tenderness. Okay, I'll take you home. Walking along the street, his warm hand tightly enveloped mine, giving me an indescribable sense of security. As we passed the county clerk's office, he paused, gently cupping my face. Let's go get our marriage certificate. At that moment, my heart pounded continuously, and a nervous flutter spread through my entire body. He smiled slightly, gently tapped my nose as a playful gesture. Once we get our certificate, you won't be able to run away. Liam went to the restroom. I sat on a chair, quietly waiting for him to come out, my fingers turning a little white from gripping them too hard. Excitement or apprehension? I couldn't say, but the smile in the corner of my eyes told me it was anticipation. Footsteps sounded nearby, and I instinctively turned my head, a blush spreading across my cheeks. If we get our marriage certificate now, will your mom think I'm rushing things? Blake stood beside me, looking at me with a bewildered gaze. What are you doing here? Beside him, Chloe was holding their marriage license, stomping her feet excitedly. My expression froze. The gentle tone of a moment ago vanished, and I just gave him a cold, silent stare. Blake's face darkened instantly. He snatched their marriage license and slapped me across the face. One second you're saying we're breaking up, the next you're all made up, waiting here to get your marriage certificate with me. Have you no shame? His eyes full of mockery, he completely ignored the gathering crowd, pinching my chin with a sarcastic smirk. Chloe lowered her head, her voice full of grievance. Grace, please don't misunderstand. I didn't intend to marry Blake, I just wanted to experience the process. He was pinching me so hard it hurt, and anger flared within me as I screamed with all my might. Don't flatter yourself. Who wants to get their marriage certificate with you? Blake burst into laughter, his voice mocking. Besides me, who else would dare want you? The next second, the restroom door was violently pushed open, and a figure spoke in a deep voice. I do. Got a problem with that? He walked over expressionlessly and forcefully pried Blake's fingers off me. My wife and I are here to get our marriage certificate. What's it to you? Blake stumbled backward, rubbing his fingers, his face growing darker and darker as he stared at Liam holding my hand. It's one thing to upset me, but you even found a man to disgust me with? What did you give him to make him willing to come here and act this charade with you? Blake's tone grew colder and colder, his eyes burning with fury. You probably gave yourself to him a long time ago, didn't you? Chloe, standing nearby, didn't forget to add fuel to the fire, shaking her head anxiously. Grace, please don't make Blake angry. Apologize quickly. My face was ashen. Staring at that despicable pair in front of me, the more I thought about it, the more absurd it seemed. He and his secretary were entangled in the room, and instead of being discreet, he openly displayed it and expected me to accept her. When he did all of this, did he ever consider my feelings? I took a deep breath, my mocking gaze fixed on Chloe. All homewreckers are the same. That photo, Blake probably meant to send it to you, didn't he? Do you want me to let everyone see how disgusting you two looked? Hearing that, Chloe's body trembled slightly, a flash of guilt crossing her face. Grace, I accept your resentment, after all, I was wrong first. But you can't maliciously slander me, can you? Blake hooked his arm around Chloe's shoulder, his voice chilling. If you keep this up, you'll only be making a fool of yourself. Leave this unknown bastard, and come home with me. If you behave well, I'll consider getting our marriage certificate with you. Of course, provided you get Chloe's forgiveness. His voice was calm, his words full of confidence and composure, as if certain I would go home with him and be at his mercy, just like before. Liam's gaze suddenly hardened. He touched the slap mark on my face, and his expression instantly turned cold. Who did this? I'm disciplining my girlfriend. What about it? Blake sneered repeatedly. Do you have an opinion? Liam was silent for a few seconds, then curled his lips into a smile. Hey, you dared to hit her. He strode towards Blake, his eyes filled with hostility. What are you doing? I warn you. Smack. A loud slap echoed in the hall. You dared to hit me? Blake's expression was frenzied, and he struggled, ready to hit back. But didn't tolerate him and delivered another slap. Who gave you the guts to hit my wife? Liam pinned Blake down, looking down at him from above. The family's wedding invitations went out this morning. Listen up, you bastard. Grace is my wife. Touch her again, and you'll regret it. A hint of bewilderment flashed in Blake's eyes. Impossible. How could she marry you? He frantically opened their marriage license, and the marriage certificate that was placed inside fell out. The names were clearly visible, Liam and Grace, but didn't give him any more time to gather his thoughts. He stood up and brushed the stray hairs from my forehead. He touched that marriage certificate, I find it tainted. Let's get a new one. Just as we walked out of the county clerk's office, Blake rushed over and blocked my path. He still looked a bit dazed, his voice frustrated. I don't agree. You and I were in a relationship, and now you're moving on to someone else. Didn't you even ask me? I took a step back, avoiding him like the plague, and slightly raised my eyes. Wake up. We broke up a long time ago. My steps halted for a moment, and I turned my head again. Remember, Grace, am the one who doesn't want you anymore. Blake looked as if he'd been struck by lightning, his face alternating between red and white. The extreme humiliation made his body tremble violently, and finally, he gave a dark, cold scoff. That's fine, then Chloe won't be annoyed seeing you around later. Chloe excitedly ran over, grabbed Blake's arm, and said in a sweet voice, Blake, if she doesn't want you, you still have me. I'll always be with you. Normally, seeing such an obedient and sensible Chloe, he would have been overjoyed, smiling as he cupped her face. But at that moment, the unexpected turn of events left him distraught, with no mood to care about anything else. Get out. Blake gritted his teeth and slapped Chloe across the face. She can only be my woman. No one can take her from me. But I didn't know any of this. Once in the car, the surrounding noise vanished completely as the windows rolled up, and it was so quiet we could hear each other's breathing. I nervously rubbed my hands together, my eyes darting around before finally settling on Liam. He sat upright in the driver's seat, his long eyelashes trembling slightly, a faint, almost imperceptible smile curving his lips upward. The car suddenly stopped. Caught off guard, I was pressed back into the seat by inertia. When I looked up again, a dark shadow blocked my vision. A warm rush of air hit my face. He was so close I could even feel his heartbeat. Liam's dark eyes were cast down, his thin lips slightly parted. You've been staring at me this whole time. My eyes full of panic, I opened and closed my arms, unsure where to put them. He watched me, then suddenly smiled. What are you laughing at? I'm laughing because my wife is especially beautiful. He returned to the driver's seat, but I turned my head, trying to suppress my pounding heart, pretending to admire the scenery. After a long while, a faint smile appeared on my lips. So, he had such a domineering side too. Liam took me back to the Hayes family estate. Robert and Patricia had watched me grow up since childhood. Our relationship was closer than family. Patricia gently took my hand, her eyes full of joy. This is wonderful. With you by Liam's side, we can finally rest assured. You were so charming as a child, and now you're so beautiful. Liam is truly lucky to have you. Robert couldn't stop smiling, repeatedly patting Liam on the shoulder. If you had told us earlier you were with Grace, we wouldn't have worried so much about your marriage. Liam pressed his lips together slightly and winked at me. I smiled, offering no explanation. Sometimes, destiny works in mysterious ways. After dinner, my phone suddenly rang with a call from Blake. I didn't hesitate and hung up immediately. A few seconds later, my phone vibrated furiously, with call after call coming in. I frowned, but still chose to answer. What do you want? The voice on the phone sounded strange, struggling to suppress anger yet unable to let go of pride. Come back to me. He can't give you the life you want. I slightly curved my lips, countering with a question. Do you know what I want? Silence hung on the other end for a few seconds, then his mood suddenly became somber. I don't know. My voice was cold, my contempt undisguised. If you don't even know what I want, how can you claim to give it to me? Tell me, and I'll do my best to satisfy you. Fine, I'll tell you. I don't long for luxury cars or mansions, nor do I crave designer bags or dresses. All I need is companionship and love. A mocking smirk slowly spread across my lips. But you gave that to Chloe when I needed it most, leaving me to hope for a future filled with one perfunctory gift after another. I've had enough of this life. Blake's voice carried a hint of bitterness. I'll change, okay? No need. Let's just leave it at that. I hung up the phone and immediately blocked all contact information for him and Chloe. But a few minutes later, Martha suddenly called. Daughter, are you and Blake fighting? Faintly, I could also hear a woman's sweet, soft laughter. My face instantly changed, and my chest heaved rapidly. In an instant, disgust and fury filled every corner of my being. He knew full well that Martha was paralyzed and couldn't handle emotional stress. Yet he still went to torment Martha. That beast, he deserves to die. When I arrived at my doorstep, a luxury car was already parked outside. Blake. I suppressed my anger and shouted loudly. The first person to come out was Chloe. She looked at me enthusiastically, her face radiant with smiles. Grace, we meet again. Blake, get out here. My gaze swept past Chloe and went straight into the house. My act of ignoring her made Chloe's expression freeze, a flicker of resentment in her eyes, yet she still forced a smile. Blake is peeling fruit for Martha. They're having a very good chat, so maybe you shouldn't disturb them, Grace. I gave her a faint glance, my voice cold. You're quite the actress, it's a pity you're not in Hollywood. Grace, is that you? Martha's voice from inside made me immediately rein in my emotions, and I quickly walked in. Martha, it's me. Martha was lying by the bed, leaning halfway against the quilt, a relieved smile on her face. Martha, with 2 filial children like you two, this life has been worth it. Blake gave Martha a half smile, peeling the apple with increasingly forceful strokes. But your daughter, it seems, doesn't appreciate it. She's got everything she needs, yet she always likes to cause me trouble. Martha, you should really talk to her. Seeing this, Martha sighed, and her gaze towards me held a hint of pleading. Couples argue, but they always make up. There's nothing that can't be resolved through communication. I scoffed, pulling the shattered family heirloom pendant from my pocket. Blake deliberately smashed our family heirloom pendant, and then publicly displayed affection with a homewrecker. Do you think I can still want a man like that? Hearing this, Blake's face became volatile, and he forcefully threw the apple in his hand. It's just a worthless pendant. Do you think I'm short on cash? As for Chloe, she's my secretary. She just broke up with someone, she's in a sad and vulnerable state. What's wrong with helping her? His eyes showed impatience, and his voice was hurried. What era are we living in? Why are you still so petty? I was too tired to argue with him about meaningless things anymore. I walked forward and took Martha's hand. Martha, there's something I haven't had a chance to tell you yet. I've already gotten my marriage certificate. My husband is Liam. Martha's eyes revealed shock, but when she heard Liam's name, her gaze suddenly softened. Liam, that boy. Martha turned her gaze to Blake, a hint of apology in her eyes. Blake, I won't get involved in you young people's affairs. You should respect each other's opinions. For a moment, the atmosphere solidified. Blake didn't answer, just kept tapping the small knife in his hand on the table, over and over. Respect each other's opinions? He nodded slightly, his falling hair unable to hide the growing savagery in his eyes. He suddenly rushed to Martha, slapping her across the face. My coming here to see you was me giving you respect. Aren't you being a bit ungrateful? My face went pale, and I rushed over to push Blake away. Are you insane? That's my mom. My eyes red, I helped Martha and sobbed. Martha, are you okay? Martha's lips trembled slightly as she forced a smile. Martha is fine, don't worry. But her pale face clearly showed she was badly frightened. Blake expressionlessly grabbed my hair, forcefully threw me to the ground, then with a flick of the gleaming blade, held the small knife to Martha's neck. Just say you don't agree to our breakup, and I'll spare you. The sharp pain from my knee made me gasp. I shakily stood up, but Chloe blocked my path. She finally dropped her pretense, looking at me with mocking triumph. Blake is kind-hearted, Martha will definitely be fine. Don't cause any more trouble. I picked up a nearby flower pot and threw it hard at her face. Chloe shrieked, fragments cut her cheek, and several drops of blood splattered out. Inside the house, Blake was holding the blood-stained small knife, smiling as he wiped it on himself. My head buzzed, feeling like thunderclaps were exploding in my ears. You monster! I sobbed uncontrollably, pouncing and hitting Blake hard. But he, with a cold face, pinned me down, his voice terrifyingly cold. I just want you back with me. What did I do wrong? You're the one who kept pushing me. Again, a fierce glint flashed in his eyes, and he suddenly raised his arm. Suddenly, a heavy thud resounded against Blake's body. Dirt scattered everywhere as his body went limp, falling directly to the ground. Liam rushed over and pulled me into his arms. Don't be afraid, I'm here. My eyes filled with urgency, I was sobbing hysterically. Quick, call 911. Help. We've already checked. The patient only has minor superficial injuries, and her condition is stable now. If you're still worried, you can choose to keep her for a day of observation, then decide. I stood outside the hospital room, my eyes blurry with tears, looking at Martha who was already asleep inside. Don't worry, Martha is fine now. I'll stay here with her. You should get some rest. His warm hand touched mine, the warmth from his palm gradually calming me down. Where's Blake? Mentioning that beast's name again, I felt nothing at all. A selfish and dark person like him deserves to stay locked up forever. Liam's lips curled into a playful smirk. He's probably still lying in the house, but he should be awake by now. I looked at him, puzzled. Why didn't you call the police and have him arrested? He gave a knowing smile. Because I want you to see Blake's despair, and watch the Vance family crumble bit by bit. Chloe thought Blake would be arrested, so she took most of the Vance family's visible assets. According to my investigation, she's a greedy person. All this time, she's been secretly using her position to gradually swindle a lot of money from the Vance family. The number of villas and luxury cars purchased under the Vance family's name is countless. Even if they were resold now, the losses would be significant. My body stiffened, and I quickly tapped open the trending news. Vance. Heir's girlfriend with massive, Vance. Plagued by loopholes? Early the next morning, the Hayes family estate struck while the iron was hot, publicly announcing a business war against the Vance family. The strategy of aggressive marketing spending was particularly disadvantageous for the Vance family at that moment. Soon, the Vance family began to experience broken capital chains and insufficient internal funds. And the next step was toward bankruptcy. William angrily smashed the mug in his hand, fuming with rage. The more he spoke, the angrier he got, kicking Blake. Blake's face was dark, and he spoke with grievance. I just gave Chloe my authorization. I didn't expect her to do this. William pointed at Blake, his body trembling. You had such an excellent grace and didn't cherish her. I think you're truly insane. At that moment, Blake was like a defeated stray dog, sprawled miserably on the ground, his eyes gleaming with venom. Get out there and find a solution. If our family goes bankrupt, your time as heir is over. Meanwhile, the Hayes family estate was on a strong upward trajectory. I was already well versed in business, and now I applied all my knowledge to the market, seizing countless resources that originally belonged to the Vance family. The family is finally falling. Robert stroked his beard, his expression filled with a mix of resignation and relief. 30 years of rivalry. And in the end, it was because of a woman. It's almost laughable to think about. I smiled witho. He speaking, just listening quietly from the side. On the other side, Liam's eyes were full of pride. It's all because you have such a wonderful daughter-in-law. Everyone exchanged glances and burst into laughter. Tomorrow is our wedding day. Liam gently stroked my hair, a bright smile on his face. You're really mine now. I rolled my eyes at him, a smile playing on my lips. You used to say that when we were kids. And to think you'd actually get your way. Just then, a knock sounded at the door. Who is it? It's me, Blake. I hadn't seen him in days, and Blake had lost a lot of weight. His face was covered in stubble, his eyes dark and desolate, hinting at despair. One hand gripped the hem of his clothes tightly. At his feet, Chloe, tethered by a dog leash, was sprawled on the ground in terror, her hair disheveled, her body trembling violently with each breath. I know I was wrong. He lifted his bloodshot eyes, his voice hoarse, like metal grinding. Seeing my lack of reaction, a flicker of panic entered his eyes. I know you don't want to be with me anymore. I've done too many wrong things. I don't deserve to be my husband. That's why I came here, to beg for your forgiveness. He gritted his teeth, pressing his hands to his chest, his eyes filled with pleading. You're the only one I've ever truly loved, the only one I'll ever love. I looked at him calmly, just as I had watched his retreating back countless times before. Before, he used to cherish me like a treasure, doting on me as if I were the most precious thing in the world. But somewhere along the way, he started to grow weary, his disdain evident. Even a few words from me were met with impatience. I couldn't remember the last time I'd seen that expression on his face. I parted my lips. Regret it? His expression darkened. I know you still harbor resentment and anger. That's why I brought this despicable woman here. As he spoke, he violently yanked the metal chain around Chloe's neck. She immediately let out a piteous wail. As long as it makes you happy, she's at your mercy. Chloe's face went ashen with fear. She lunged and collapsed at my feet, frantically licking the toe of my shoe. I know I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Don't kill me, I'll do anything. Her skin, exposed to the sunlight, was covered in wounds. Some had already scabbed over, others were still losing blood. I couldn't imagine what inhumane torture she'd endured since being caught. I shook my head slightly, finding it absurd. I had thought Blake loved her deeply, enough to disregard everything. But in the end, it was just a scam, each of them harboring their own ulterior motives. Seeing my continued silence, Chloe's body trembled even more violently. She suddenly reached out, trying to grab my leg. Please forgive me. Otherwise, I'll die. He'll beat me to death. I frowned and quickly stepped back. Don't disgust me. At this, Blake's eyes hardened. He savagely kicked Chloe in the face, then slapped her repeatedly. Enough. I snapped coldly, stopping their charade. What you did to me, to Martha. I'll never forget it as long as I live. Blake's face twisted in bitterness. He looked at me with deep sorrow. I suddenly smiled, gazing at his miserable state. If I'm not mistaken, you're not truly regretful, you're just afraid. Afraid the Vance family's legacy will be destroyed. As I spoke, I naturally took Liam's hand. My voice was light and cheerful. I will never forgive you in this lifetime. I'll be waiting to see the day your Vance family collapses with my own eyes. Blake's pupils suddenly constricted. For the first time, he showed fear. No, Grace, listen to me, it's not what you think. Liam stepped in front of Blake, watching him with a half-smile. You can leave now. You've overstayed your welcome, and frankly, I find you distasteful. He turned, taking my hand, preparing to leave. Then he paused. Oh, and by the way, I bet you never knew why Grace was hospitalized. Actually, she was the one with the heart condition, and she almost died. As for the one at your feet, she was faking it. A quick check at the hospital would prove it. Blake suddenly looked down, his terrifying gaze fixed on Chloe. So you were faking it? Chloe's legs gave out from fear. She collapsed directly onto the ground, desperately trying to scramble backward. Please don't hit me. I just wanted to get your sympathy, so you'd love me more. I really didn't mean it. You said you'd let me go if I played along with your act. You can't go back on your word. His eyes were filled with a dull, vacant look. He stood motionless, silent for a long time. Regret, pain, confusion. All these negative emotions intertwined and surfaced on his face. So I was the biggest fool of all. Taking a deep breath, he picked up the rock from the ground. He took a step, then another, walking towards Chloe. I didn't even believe what I was saying, and you actually believed me? Beneath his savage expression, lay Chloe's bloodied face. The hall was aglow with soft light, and elegant gowns swayed. Amidst 1,000 expectant gazes, Liam, dressed in a tuxedo, gently took my hand. Grace, will you marry me? I will spend my life protecting you. His eyes crinkled at the corners. His trembling voice was filled with excitement and anticipation. 1 second, 2 seconds passed as he waited for my answer, yet it felt like an eternity. His heart pounded faster and faster, his fingers trembling wildly. I suddenly smiled and threw myself into his arms. Yes, I do. Marrying him. It was the best decision I'd ever made in my life.